It's acquisition season, everyone. Well, kind of. Over the past couple of years, we've been spoiled by massive bombshell announcements about video game acquisitions. And after Microsoft just dropped $68 billion on Activision Blizzard, it seems like nothing is off the table. This has reportedly led to other big publishers like Ubisoft scrambling to get acquired themselves. But is there someone even willing to scoop them up? Let's find out. Ubisoft is in a weird place right now. These days, it feels like we're always bracing for another big surprise announcement about a developer or publisher being acquired. And given that even Sony is ready to flex its muscle after having just spent $3.6 billion on Bungie alone, the whole industry has kinda turned into the Wild West. Stock prices for game devs are at an all-time high, and it really does seem like this is the time to sell if you're gonna do it. However, when it comes to Ubisoft, things are a bit complicated. You could even draw comparisons to Activision Blizzard, as both companies haven't really been at the top of their game for a while now. Don't get us wrong, there's nothing inherently wrong with the games that Ubisoft has been churning out lately. It's just that they've been following the same formula for a while now, and it's starting to get a bit stale. And it shows in their review scores too. Apart from Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, most of their other projects like Ghost Recon Breakpoint or Rainbow Six Extraction been kinda meh. However, it doesn't really seem like they're gonna change anything anytime soon either, as they gear up for a live service Assassin's Creed game. Also, there's a lot of dirty laundry that any potential buyers would have to deal with. Ubisoft, over the past few years, has not been the best of places to work, with reports of harassment, bullying, and union busting tarnishing the company's reputation. And while they have addressed this in blog posts, we're yet to see any substantial commitment to bringing meaningful changes. How much is Ubisoft worth right now? With that said, there's another angle to this that might actually make the publisher more enticing to investors. You see, these recent controversies and quote-unquote flops have tanked Ubisoft's share price, which sits at a pretty low $45 per share. For context, their share price was over $100 just a few years ago. It's a pretty massive fall from grace, which means that the company is the cheapest it has ever been. So, with a market cap of just over $5.5 billion, you're looking at a company that has been in decline for a while and could go for a cheap price. Not only that, but this consistent drop in value has also made the Ubisoft shareholders kinda nervous about their commitment to the company's future, and apparently they'd be more than happy to bail out if they get an appropriate offer. However, maybe that's where things get a little bit trickier, because what even is an appropriate bid for a company like Ubisoft? They've got great IPs and incredible talent across the globe, so do you also factor that into the price? But then, things only seem to be going downhill for them lately, and do all these other workplace issues maybe reduce the price? Who could even buy Ubisoft right now? Ubisoft has always been a family-run company, living under the control of the Guillemot family, and while the family only has a 15% stake in the company these days, Yves Guillemot is still the man in charge. Over the past few years, though, we've seen a bit of a transition with the family, maybe distancing themselves from daily affairs. And, because of that very reason, Charlie Guillemot left last year, leaving no true heir in line for the Ubisoft throne. So the question is, if they're looking to sell, who would be willing to step up and take control of this slowly sinking ship? Let's get the obvious out of the way first. We know that Microsoft has been throwing its weight around the industry for a while now, and nothing seems out of its reach. With the recent massive Activision Blizzard deal, though, it would be hard to imagine them making another big move. Besides, Xbox is already dealing with a lot of criticism from people, especially when it comes to monopolization fears. Also, let's not forget that their recent $70 billion deal hasn't been approved by the FTC yet, which poses its own challenges. So, despite recent rumblings about Microsoft getting cozy with Ubisoft, we don't really see it happening within the next year or so. Other than that, you've got Sony as well, who just dropped $3.6 billion on Bungie. And, while it's not the richest company in the world, the PlayStation manufacturer could easily dish out as much as $10 billion for something like Ubisoft. However, looking at their past dealings, we know that Sony doesn't operate like that, and they're more likely to go for close partners and individual studios rather than a big publisher. So that leaves us with our usual big corporations, like Tencent, Amazon, Embracer Group, and Take-Two. But while there is a universe where any of these would make perfect sense, the chances of it actually happening are pretty low, as we haven't seen them feign interest in any publisher acquisition acquisitions recently. All being said though, there is one more lucrative option out there for Ubisoft. Yep, Ubisoft needs a merger, not an acquisition. Yep, you heard that right. In an age where all these big publishers are being scooped up, companies like Ubisoft, EA, and Square Enix are a bastion of hope for third-party developers. No one wants everything to converge into exclusivity, and of course, having third parties making their own games is necessary for the health of this industry. So, even if it takes a big merger to keep these companies independent, we should all root for it. With whom though? Well, the obvious answer would be EA. Both Ubisoft and Electronic Arts are veterans of the industry and have a lot of similarities. Not only that, but being with EA could solve a lot of issues for Ubisoft as well, since they've managed to recover from their own bad image over the past few years. So, even though it does definitely sound like a distant pipe dream, we're still rooting for Ubisoft to remain a third party as the industry is better off that way. Other news. Enough about Ubisoft though. Let's now take a look at what else is happening around the gaming industry. Xbox finally has a date for its Summer Games Showcase. E3 season is probably the most exciting time of the year for all gamers. And E3 is not really a thing anymore. Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest has already filled in the gap, with other big publishers partnering up and having their showcases. And arguably, the most anticipated show of the bunch is the Xbox Summer Games Showcase, as we get to see what's in store for over 23 of their first-party studios. Slated for 10 a.m. Pacific on Sunday, June 12th, Xbox and Bethesda's show will most definitely have a bunch of big hits on display. Of course, we'll see Todd Howard coming onto the stage to show off Starfield, which is Bethesda's next big RPG. Other than that, you can expect Avowed from Obsidian, Forza Motorsport from Turn 10, Arcane's Redfall, and some Hellblade gameplay too. Also, who knows, maybe we'll get a cheeky look at the rumored Halo Battle Royale from Certain Affinity as well. Sony blocks PS Plus membership stacking. When Sony announced its new PS Plus subscription tiers to rival Game Pass, the reactions were mostly lukewarm. But then, people found a loophole that allowed them to stack up on the current PS Now and PS Plus memberships and get a free upgrade to PlayStation Plus Premium later. If you've already done that, then you're in luck, because the company has just confirmed that it has patched up that loophole. So, if you want to experience the premium tier of PS Plus Now, you'll have to pay up. Obviously, this move sucks, because Xbox is still allowing the Gold to Game Pass free upgrade trick, and Sony hasn't been the most consumer-friendly lately. However, one good news is that if you've already purchased gift codes and haven't redeemed them yet, those would still work perfectly fine. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has an official logo. It wouldn't be controversial if we said that Call of Duty Vanguard is not the greatest game that the franchise has seen. After all, the reviews weren't great, and the game has already fallen out of the NPD charts. However, if there is one game that could put the franchise back on track, it's Modern Warfare. The reboot series from Infinity Ward has been hugely successful, and it really does seem like people can't wait for a sequel. So, after the initial announcement, we finally have a logo for it as well. Still called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the game uses the Roman numerals 2 to distinguish itself from the original. Of course, a logo being tweeted out shouldn't be big news, but guess what? It is the most liked official Call of Duty tweet of all time. So it seems like everyone has already hopped onto the hype train. What about you though? Are you excited for Call of Duty's return to the Warfare franchise? Or would you have preferred something else from Infinity Ward? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.